While 1982's Blade Runner is a classic, it nonetheless set a trend for Ridley Scott's sci-fi movies that has arguably harmed his career. Scott is considered one of the most influential filmmakers of all time, and Blade Runner could be regarded as his magnum opus. However, with the film, Scott set a precedent that had an unfortunate effect on another entry in the director's lengthy back catalog. Based on Philip K. Dick's novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?, Blade Runner was originally released in theaters in 1982, and has gone on to be regarded as one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. Its influence on the science fiction genre is undeniable, and its legacy lives on in a big way. Blade Runner, though undoubtedly a masterpiece in its own right, did give way to a trend that has negatively impacted Scott's reputation, and it relates to Blade Runner's multiple different cuts. Blade Runner set a precedent for Ridley Scott revisiting sci-fi movies. Blade Runner has multiple cuts. Rutger Hauer as replicant leader Roy Batty in Blade Runner. Following the initial release of Blade Runner in 1982, subsequent edits were made to the original theatrical version. Over time, this has resulted in 7 different cuts of Blade Runner, each telling the same overall narrative but with subtle differences designed to bring new meaning to the story. The 1992 director's cut was, for a long time, seen as the definitive cut. However, the so-called final cut, released in 2007, is now widely regarded as the ultimate cut, as it was the only version of Blade Runner where Ridley Scott had complete creative control. While some will argue that Scott's constant tinkering is a rather pointless exercise, the different cuts of Blade Runner have, overall, resulted in better versions of the film than what was initially shown in theaters. Scott was never completely satisfied with any of the cuts released in the US or internationally, so it makes sense that he seized the opportunity to properly realize his vision. Nevertheless, in doing this, he started a trend of revisiting his previous sci-fi projects instead of simply leaving them be, which has, unfortunately, had broadly negative results. Ridley Scott revisiting Alien ruined his sci-fi legacy. He should have left Alien alone, however. Xenomorph showing its teeth in Alien Covenant. Aside from Blade Runner, Ridley Scott's other science fiction masterpiece is 1979's Alien. The sci-fi horror movie propelled Scott into the mainstream and established him as one of Hollywood's greatest directors. The film's impact on popular culture is undeniable, yet its legacy has been somewhat marred in recent years. Scott's instinct to go back and unpack his previous work, which started with the numerous cuts of Blade Runner, led the director to return to the Alien series, where he made a pair of disappointing contributions.